All right, for today we'll continue our quest on our Chapter 4 discussion on job order costing. Remember, today is the last day to do the homework, March 11th at midnight. Try to get through all those if you can. Do the best you can. Our exam is scheduled for Wednesday then. It is our 2-hour block. I think it'll be appropriate for that time frame. This exam is not a long one, right? The other chapters, as might be with the other chapters, so I think we'll be fine with that time frame. Obviously, next week is our spring break, so we will not be meeting next week. So it's a good breaking point. I've been in the process for our next chapter, chapter 6. So we'll be started that when we come back from break. Any questions before we get started? Obviously, you made the time change okay, moved ahead. Although now it's pretty easier, much easier with phones that automatically, I think, go ahead. Yeah, I guess I didn't change mine, so. All right. Not like the old days. I'm just seeing if anyone's joining us. Nope. That's fine. Here we go. I want to start with problem 50 on page, I don't even have the page number here. Oh my gosh. This is in your packet. It's a journal page. Just want to make sure we can make our journal entries for the exam. This is probably the heaviest chapter with journal entries. And basically, we'll just put a letter here. E, do you want to start us out with our first entry? And I've also put on the page here, if you want to reference your journal entries, in the chapter, the appendix specifically, page 173 and 174, can be used as a guide for our journal entries. I'll just go around the room. There's approximately 7 journal entries to make. That's the requirement here. Prepare the journal entries for each transaction.
It's on page 202, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just got there.
Okay. Next time I'll start in the backy.
Yeah. So since we're purchasing our materials,
Yes.
we're gonna debit our raw materials.
Good?
And we're gonna debit it for $29,670.
Good?
Then since we purchased it on account, we're gonna credit accounts payable.
Excellent. Perfect. That's it. Tom, you want to take B? Requisition, what does that mean?
Requesting material.
Yeah, requesting. And where is it going into?
Production for WIP.
Yep, very good. So I'm going to just abbreviate here, WIP. Obviously that's an inventory, just like raw materials is an inventory. And we've got 3 jobs, 58, 59, and 60. So in reality, we should be debiting by job. That's how we're accumulating our cost by job for 8,900. And again, just repeat for the other 3 jobs. What are we crediting then, Tom? What account would we, what are we taking it out of?
Wouldn't that be raw material?
Yes, correct. Now, the author also may want to credit a different account called direct material inventory. So direct or raw material, they kind of work hand in hand, so to speak.
Can you say that again? The book says direct material?
Yeah, if we go to page 173. Oh, they do say raw material. I've also seen problems where it's direct material. So just, they kind of are interchangeable. Good question, Diane. Oh, I don't have the right amount, do I?
No.
Tell me the right amount.
Oh, nice.
It's 9,200, right?
Yep, so nice for the next one.
89 for the next one.
6,400 for the third one.
How much, Michelle?
6,400.
Thank you. And what is it supposed to total?
24,500.
There we go. Thank you. All right, Kershaw, I think you're next.
Would you debit direct labor for job 58, 59, and 60?
Instead of direct labor, what's the better name?
Wages.
Production, I gotta go into WIP, right? So I like the idea WIP, job number 58, 59, and 60.
And then credit wages payable.
Now that's where we put our wages payable. Remember, we're replacing WIP, or replacing wages expense with WIP. And these are for direct labor wages only. The ones that are working on whatever we're assembling, creating, or making. That's the key here. I guess the total is 32,400. What's the breakdown?
14,400 for the first one, 10,800 for the second one, and 7,200 for the third one.
Excellent. Awesome. So we have our materials in B, we have our labor in C. Teresa, you have D.
Third will be the actual overhead of 17,880. So overhead control
Very good.
would be the debit of 17,880.
Good.
And it says credit various payables
Yeah,
for 17,880.
that's almost like that in QuickBooks, Ask My Accountant account. You ever see that? It's not real. It's just to save time. But give me an example of what we would credit in real life for various. What goes into overhead?
Like utilities.
Payable, good.
um,
What's the big one though?
All of the depreciation,
Accumulated depreciation would be another credit. Excellent. Salaries payable for the production salaries,
Yeah.
right? Maintenance people, the supporting people in production would all be credited here. Very good. Excellent. Liz,
Charge overhead to production at the rate of $4.80 direct labor hour.
excellent. Cool. Charged overhead. I don't think we've ever seen that.
That's over.
What did we, what did we call, what do we call this? What's our new word in normal costing? We'll say charged overhead, we what? Starts with the letter A. Applied overhead. So we're applying the overhead to each job, so what do we have to debit then, Liz? It's going to a job, so what do we always debit? What account for production? Yes.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, it's gonna be wrong.
No, it's not, it was right.
You just
Liz,
wrong.
you had it, you had it. Thank you for, Teresa, for helping. That's that lifeline thing I'd like to use. And again, with a job order cost system, we have to accumulate costs by job, right? And what do we credit here?
Overhead control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's our control account. So we take this $4.80, and we're gonna have to multiply each of these by the hours incurred. 58 had 800. 59 had 600. And 60 had 400, I believe. Yep. So, can someone help me with the amounts here?
3,840. 2,880. 1,920. And 8,640.
Excellent. Excellent. Cool. You okay with those numbers, guys? That look good? All right. Always good to have them audited, so that's awesome. We're on letter F. Walter.
Completed the transfer jobs, D59, finished goods.
Yeah, if it's completed, where does it go after WIP? What's the next inventory? Yes, very good. Excellent, Walter. Again, it's an inventory, and we maintain, was 58 and 59? And then we take it out, right? My job as well, out of WIP. So So it's a cumbersome process, but we have to do it by job. And since it's 58 and 59, let's do 58 first. We have to add up the three costs of production. Work in process material, 92. The labor, 14.4. The applied overhead, 38.40. So 9,200, 14.4, 38.40 for the whip. How much is that total?
27,440.
That comes out of whip and goes into our finished goods. And then we do the same thing for 59. Starting with material cost, 8,900, 10,8. And 28.80. So roughly 20,000 something? 22,580. There we have it. Completed and transferred, 58 and 59. Also, just as a warning, guys, when on the test, be on the lookout for beginning balances. Probably the biggest thing that is missed on these journal entries, there might be a beginning balance from the prior month, right?
Okay.
So watch for that. That comes over into the new month, and then we add our materials and labor and overhead. So be watching for that, please. To Polly, are you on page 203? Are you ready? No? Okay. Michelle, can we help us out on G then?
And G.
Yeah, letter G we're up to.
Okay, so cost of goods sold
Yep.
is, so wait, now the materials where it says the balance is 2,300, that goes for job 58, correct? Or that's job 57? 58, right? Like where it says the 2,300, that,
Yeah, where does that go?
I'm assuming that since finished goods is for job 57, like the 2,300, I'm guessing is for job 58 as the beginning balance?
No, that's just raw material inventory. So that's not assigned to any job at 2,300.
Okay.
So I would leave that alone.
All right, so then the cost of goods sold would be 25,600 for job 57. As a
Yes.
debit.
Yes, I'm catching up to you, Michelle. I'm kind of
Okay.
behind you.
'Cause that's what I'm doing right now.
Yes,
Selling it?
I was looking at 58, but it's 57 that we're selling. Thank you.
And
We were selling both of them.
Are we really?
Yes.
I'm glad somebody's reading the question and not me. Cost of goods sold is debited for how much?
25,600.
Let's add, since we're selling both, let's make one entry if we
Just
can.
one? Okay, and then 58.
25.6 for 57, and 58 is
27,440.
correct. So 53,040?
Yeah.
says it's selling it plus 40%.
Yeah, the 40% comes into the second half of the
Okay.
entry. We're not quite there yet. We're close.
And then we would credit, finished goods inventory
Excellent,
for job 57, and then one for job 58.
excellent.
So 25,600. And 27,450.
Perfect.
And then we are going to, since it doesn't say if it's cash or credit, whatever.
Yeah, let's just assume credit.
So, accounts receivable,
Okay?
are we putting them together again?
Yes. Yeah, let's just put them together.
Job 58.
Because I'm running out of lines. Well, maybe we shouldn't, Michelle. Maybe we should keep them separate. Let's do that. Accounts receivable, 58. Not that we would have 57 first. And then,
Oh, and it actually does say that they get sold on account, so.
okay, that's good.
Okay, so 57 was 25, 60.
And then we'll have one credit to sales.
So we sold that one, the first one for 35,840.
Okay, so how did you get the 35,840?
I took 25,600 and multiplied it by 1.4.
Excellent. So the 1 is the cost, the 4 is the markup.
The markup.
Mhm. And
then
35, I'm sorry, how much was it?
Job 58, we would have sold for 38,416.
What was 57 again?
35,840.
Excellent. Guys, are we audit-wise good? Those numbers coming out? And we're taking the 27,440, we're multiplying it by 1.4, and that gives us our 38,416.
And then our sales revenue is gonna be 74,256.
Perfect. Good job. Those are the journal entries. Probably the toughest one is kind of this one because it's two parts, right? Cost part and sale part, revenue part. Any thoughts on any of these entries? It's been 5 days since we worked on this, kind of a review a little bit, hopefully. We all right? We have some questions to answer before we leave. I don't know how much room you have. I hope you have some room. They want to know the raw material balance. And this is why they gave us the beginning balance of 2,300. There'll be quite a few questions on ending balances. In this case, they want an ending balance for raw materials, an ending balance for WIP, and an ending balance for finished goods. So raw material, can you stick, I hope, 3 of these on the bottom, hopefully? I use T accounts for my ending balance, so to speak. So raw material, we had 2,300. What were our purchases?
29,670.
Which is always on the left side. Debit. I'm debiting this account. 29,670.
And then we took out 24,500.
Remember, the left side of a T account is the debit. The right side of a T account is a credit.
$74.70 on the debit side.
the month of May. On May 31st. Where does this number show up? What statement? The 7470 appears on what statement? Balance sheet as a current asset, right? Current asset. Very good.
Get the 29,670.
That was our letter A,
Journal entry.
letter A entry, where we purchased the material.
Oh,
It's going into our inventory.
I totally missed that one. Thank you.
Okay. WIP. Beginning balance was 0. But then we put in our direct material. I'm scrunching this. Sorry. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll move this over. A little better. It's getting too close. We had material going in, which is letter B, for 24.5. So if I credit this, I'm debiting the WIP for 24.5. How much was my labor?
$10,800.
10,800?
Or 2,880.
The overhead was what?
2,880.
Seems kind of low, but maybe that's right. Isn't it 32.4 for all these, right? So labor should be, or material should be 24.5. Labor should be 32.4.
It's
Oh.
not- We sold 58 though, so that's not in there anymore. Don't you do, are those just one or do we have to do them separate for jobs?
I gotta put them in first. So my material was 24.5. Is that what I have?
But minus 92. Oh,
No, no,
you're
no.
putting them in, never mind.
We gotta put it in first, and then we'll take it out.
Okay, so then the last one is 8640.
86.40 looks good, the purple one.
Yeah.
Okay. That look good? So in chapter 4, what do we, the 8640 is called what kind of overhead? Applied. This is not the actual. Remember, this is an applied overhead, which is an estimate. It's not a real number. That's what we think that we will incur if we work on a job by hour. $4.80 is the estimate.
Here's my question.
The
Why-
second one's gonna be 32,400.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, why?
But that's for job 10,800, it's just job 59 as well.
All right.
$32,400.
Be nice if we had a computer, it'd automatically go in, right? All right, are we good now? Awesome. It's nice that I don't have to look at an answer key because I got lots of auditors here. Now we take it out, right? When the job is completed. So I'm going to have my completed jobs that move over into finished goods. There's 57, 58, and 59? No,
No, just 58, because 57 was already there.
that's right. So just 58?
Mm-hmm.
How much?
9,200 for the first one.
Don't we have to do 59, so two?
You gotta move
Yeah, I
it.
thought we had 2 jobs done.
We sold 57 and 58, but 57 was already in finished goods.
No, 59, because it's
59 is
completed.
completed.
Yeah, I'm only,
It's not sold.
Michelle, I'm only
Oh.
on
Yep, we're,
letter F.
okay.
That's good. So 27,440, 22,580. Okay, what's my ending balance here then?
$15,520.
Can someone verify that? We're good? Excellent. We move over to finished goods, our beginning balance, 25,600. I completed 27,40, 440. And 22,580. But then I sold job number 57 only. One job was sold.
Two jobs.
Two,
58.
58
gosh.
also.
I'm still sleeping at this point. This hour change is really killing me. We sold 57 and 58.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, it makes my math easier at the end. So what's the?
22,580.
Yeah, the ending balance is 22,580. On May 31st, right?
Yes.
There we go. So we answered number 3, what is the balance of raw materials? So here's number 3's answer, 7,470. Number 4's answer, 15,520. And then number 5's answer for finished goods, 22,580. So here again, be careful on the test. Make sure you're on the right inventory ending balance question, because you'll be asked for any one of these 3. Be careful which ones you're at. And we made a lot of mistakes, or I did a few. I shouldn't say a lot. But it's very easy to like miss a job that was sold or miss a job that was completed, grab the wrong number to put into the WIP. So here's another plug to show work if you can, just to see how you did your math, basically. If you wanted to, you could put these three up in an Excel worksheet so that you could just plop them in and then auto sum and subtract the difference. Just a suggestion. It might save you a little time. Any other efficiencies that we can think of to make this process much easier? All right. I have one more question. The last entry. What's the margin? What's the margin on job 57? What's the margin on job 57?
57, right?
It's more than.
10,240.
Yeah, that looks better. The gross margin on job 57 is the sale amount, 35,840 minus the cost amount of 25,600 gives us 10,240. What's the margin percent, if I know that?
About 29%.
20, I was going to say about 30%.
28.57, so 29%.
Does everybody know how we get the margin? Margin divided by sales, right? So 10,240 divided by 35,840. You should know that computation as well. So know that computation. How do I figure out the margin percent? Is 29 pretty good?
It's a reasonable one.
Depends on the industry, but yeah, that's pretty good margin. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Okay. Let's just get started on 46 on page 201. I like this example because it really forces us to remember that beginning balance. So we got 86, 87, 88. We'll go much quicker here. 15, 310, 42, 50. Just copying these numbers right from the book. There'll be a lot of questions on how to get this number. So how do I do it? Applied overhead.
$10 times the number of machine hours.
So $10, everybody see that question? 10 is the applied rate. What else do we call this $10?
Predetermined.
Predetermined overhead rate. Again, so much of this chapter is new terminology. This is one of them. Make sure you know what a predetermined rate is. How did I get this predetermined rate?
So what do you estimate?
So it's simply a division, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's on the top?
Your,
The total divided by the number of.
your overhead?
What kind of overhead do I have to look for?
Amount, money, amount.
Amount, yep. But what's the word I'm looking for? No. This is for the predetermined rate.
The unit
Estimated.
cost.
Estimated is the what I was looking for. Very good, Tom. Some problems, I'm not going to give you the 10, right? So estimated overhead divided by what?
Estimated number. Either hours or dollar. That's basically a driver.
Very good, Tom. Love that you're using the word activity driver, right? What drives our cost, right? In most cases, a lot of companies will use machines because we're basically machine driven now in today's world. Okay, now the question on the test next week, Wednesday, will be, I'm going to give you estimated overhead of $100,000. My actual overhead is $90,000. My actual machine hours is 10,000. My estimated machine hours, well, I gotta make this the same. Let me get this. I'll make this 9. So my goal is that you pick the right numbers, right? To come up with a predetermined rate. I will have students that will use this. Still comes out to the same answer. I will have you students take the actual numbers. So my goal is to have you remember not to get tricked, to take the estimated, right? To come up with the predetermined rate. That is paramount. If you cannot remember that, the test will be a very long test. You have to get that predetermined rate right. Because everything else, right? All our computations are based on that overhead rate. So, has to be an estimate to get that predetermined rate. If you can't find it, Gary, I can't find it. It's got to be somewhere in this paragraph. That's why I'm here, right? I'm very selfish. I don't want to grade these problems when you're using the wrong predetermined rate. It's not pretty. All right, so we know it's 10. 10 times the machine hours, 500. $5,000. 3,000. And 10,000. So we're just using that 10 times the machine hours as our driver. Here again, some problems will have right below the machine hour line, direct labor hours of 600 and 700 and 800. Don't use them if the driver is machine hours, right?
All right.
So watch for that. Does everybody hear what I just said? I may give you direct labor hours because. Make sure you're using the right driver. Add these up. right, Diane, what do you think my work in process is at the end of July? Or how do I figure it?
Jobs 82, 86, and 87?
Which jobs did we finish this month? Maybe we should start there.
Isn't it unfinished? Would be-
Right, but I need to know which ones we did get out.
Oh, which ones were finished?
Yep,
86 and 88.
yep, very good. We completed 86, we completed 88. So what is unfinished?
29, 750, right?
Yep. That's it. 87 was the only one left that wasn't finished. So that's what's left in WIP. There's probably at least 2 or 3 questions like that. So you gotta figure out the totals, figure out which ones were completed and gone, and what's left is the unfinished. Beginning balance, we had 49,000 in finished goods. That was given to us. And that was consisting of 2 jobs, 82 and 84. I'm just going to put those up here, just so we have a total reference. 25,6, 23,4. How much did we transfer in?
87,910.
Oops. 970, Michelle?
910.
Where did I get 70 from? Oh my gosh. Looks like a funny 7, isn't it? 910, correct? Which is what 2 numbers together?
86 and 88.
Yep, job number is 86. Job number 88. I'm adding 40,760 to the 47,150. That gives me the 87,910. And how much did we sell?
66,360.
Which is
70, or that's job 82 and 86.
82 and 86. So 25,6 for 82. 86 is 40,760. Are we okay?
Yes.
What do we have left in finished goods? I think it's just,
70,550,
which is 84 and
87.
80. I got 88.
84, 87, and 88.
No. 87 was left, right?
Or, yeah,
So I just want 84 and 88, right?
yeah.
So 70,550. Right? We should be able to double check, take our beginning plus what we put in minus what we took out. We should get the same number. Yep, I think we do. To double check it, thanks, Teresa. What statement does cost of goods sold go on? So on the income statement, that 70,550 will be there as the cost of goods sold. Oh, why am I doing that? Oh my gosh.
You're just testing us.
Oh my goodness. I need to take a break. I don't know about you guys. Let's stop here.
One more
One more week.
at the end of this week.
You sure break's not this week?
It should be,
Whew.
Yeah.
Now do I have the right numbers?
yeah.
What do you think, guys? Does everybody getting the flow from WIP to finish to cost? That's the flow. If T accounts help, that's great. Or if you want to do something like this in Excel, you can do that. Whatever you think is easier for you. We do have a cost per unit. How do I do that? Job 88.
Total cost of the job divided by the number of units.
Yeah. Now, this is not in the problem, but there will be questions on how to come up with this cost per unit. I just made this up. I just said there were 10,000 units made on job 88. 47,150?
Yeah.
So where, how far do you want us to the percent?
Yeah, to the nearest cents. What's the markup that we normally mark up? Cost plus 20?
Yeah.
So if I take this times 1.2, what's my selling price per unit then? 6 something? No.
$5.60.
$5?
$5.64.
Yeah.
$5.66.
$5.66.
Oh. 60. Into.
Remember with job order costing, may also be called a bid price, right? So that's what we're bidding to our customer, is that $5.66 per piece. So know this for the test, how do I get my cost per unit? Know this, how do I get my selling price or bid price per unit? Or you can convert it to a revenue on your income statement as well, right? So 20% markup. On cost, obviously. Okay, now I think I'm done with this problem. Are we good? Let's take our break.
That's the next part to it.
Yeah, I don't know how much we'll... All right. For problem 46, there is a income statement. I do want to answer these couple questions on it. I'm not going to actually do the income statement, but I will have it filled in. So when we stop class, I'll fill it in. So it will be on the notes for today's class if you want to review it later. So what I want to key in on is to finish up this problem with a couple of questions. First question, compute the over/under applied amount when we compare the estimate to our actual overhead dollars of 20,000. So again, to show this, I'm just going to create a small t account. This is the overhead control t account. Which side does the 20,000 go on? The left, the debit side.
Yep.
So I'm going to put the word actual dollars here. Remember with our journal entry, we debit that account and credit various payables, various accounts. That's what we're doing here. Now the applied amount, I'm going to put that in red, is on the credit side. Because think of our journal entry again. I'm debiting WIP, right? Crediting the control. How much did we have in applied dollars from our review sheets here? Looking at our 3 jobs for the month, how much did we apply in total?
18,000.
18. So I'm simply adding up the applied overhead, the 5, the 3, the 10, 18,000. That then becomes our entry here. So Ruby, what's the difference? 2,000. Am I over or under applied? Under, right guys? I didn't put enough into my WIP, so I'm going to be under applied. And again, the multiple choice questions, choice 2 or B is going to be over 2,000. Don't lose this question because it's again, I think a pretty simple question to get right. But it's easy to get it wrong if you're not careful. So, based on the cost of goods sold before closing, what is the new cost of goods balance after the closing entry is done? So let's start with our cost of goods sold.
It's some
Monday.
Unadjusted. Cost of God sold. Tell Judy that's one of your accounts that you learned today and cost. She'll wonder what we're doing. Right. What's our cost of goods sold before the adjustment?
66,360.
Yeah, 66,360 here. So that's our unadjusted balance. I'm going to make my adjusting entry at the end of the month for $2,000. And then I get my cost of goods sold adjusted balance on my income statement. Now, the problem doesn't have us do this entry, right? I'm just preparing you to understand what an unadjusted balance means as compared to an adjusted balance. So what is my adjusted balance?
68,360.
Yeah, 68,360 is my adjusted balance. How come it's not 64,360?
Because we had $2,000 in cost more than we originally planned. Like it was under applied, so we need to.
It was under, yeah.
Add that
Right.
cost.
So if it's an under applied, and I'm going to use the cost term. We don't call it difference, we call it variance, right? So we had an under applied variance, which means I didn't put, like Michelle said, enough cost in when I compared the actual. So I'm going to add that to the cost of goods sold to get 68,360. If I'm only adjusting the cost of goods sold account, what must my variance be? What do we call that?
Immaterial,
Immaterial, which means what?
very small.
Small, right? So this is an immaterial variance. What accounts do I adjust if it's a material variance, which means large? What three?
What,
WIP is one,
finish good?
finished goods is two, cost of goods sold is three. So we don't do that computation, but you need to know it for those multiple choice questions. If it's large, right, material, we have to adjust three, not just the one. Oh, such fun. Any other questions here before I go on? You're going to make me say it today? What's my famous saying?
I get paid by the
I get paid by the question. I do say that quite a bit. Clear as mud, right?
Oh, that one.
My old standard. And you guys know mud's not clear. I just want to make sure you know that. 53. Let's just do the plant-wide rate here quick. I'm not going to do the whole problem. Just touch on it. It's so important that we get this first question right. Page 204 of our book. Question number 1. How do I get number 1's question? Catherine, how do I get question one's predetermined rate? Okay. Very good. Catherine, that's right. 789 by 100,000. Guys, is Catherine right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and remember, Catherine, that overhead and hours are estimated. Is there a word estimate anywhere?
Yeah. Estimate information for the year.
Yeah. So they're saying that these amounts are estimated. And that's the key with coming up with that predetermined rate. So that's what we're going to use here then. And we're going to multiply this rate times the actual hours. So here we switch gears. Now I have to look for the actual, right? That's the key here. On job 741, what were the actual hours? 4,000, right? So if I take 4,000 times 789, I get 31,560. And you go right down the line, 742, 43, 44, 45, taking that rate times the 789 rate times the hours. So look for the word actual. $26,826 should be the next one. And so forth. So if you that come out,
No, it didn't.
it doesn't, does it?
Not a whole number. That's penny in that one.
Well, that stinks. Let's just assume this is a bid job, so I'm not going to worry about the cents. 622 would be the applied overhead. And then we come down and we do the same thing for the remaining 1,600 times 7.89, 12,624. Guys, would a hair salon use this type of job order system? If somebody's cutting your hair. Would they benefit by using this kind of job order cost
Yes.
system? They would, yes, right? They should. So many companies use this system. All right, I'm going to stop here. The rest is basically that flow discussion again. How much is in ending WIP? How much is in finished goods? How much is in cost of goods sold? Again, I'll have the answer key for these in our notes for today's class. 59 will be another one. Not sure if there's anything new. I do want to talk about this though. On problem 59 in the book, it's on page 207. Question 3. Let's take a look at question 3. What is the markup percentage?
175.
We've been normally dealing with 20, 40, right?
Mhm.
Let's say my cost is 10,000. This is not the cost of this problem. I'm just putting this number in. What's my selling price? It's based upon 175%.
27,500.
How'd you get that, Tom?
Multiplied by 2.75.
Why 2.75?
You mark it up 175%,
So
so.
we got the 1
Yeah.
plus the 1.75. Does that make sense for everyone? We could have done this too, right? I could have did the markup first. Does that look good?
Yeah.
And then added the cost of 10 to get my 27.5. So just don't take 1.75 and that's the selling price, is what I'm getting at here. Because the markup is over 100%. That's why we're going to 1 plus 1, or 2.75.
Pharmaceutical company.
No, they're in the thousands.
Thousands. That's true
range
too,
in
yeah.
some cases. 175 is not uncommon. It's not uncommon for some industries. Again, it has to be in a certain industry that you're in. All right, so I just wanted to point that out. Let's do the last 15 minutes or so, guys, on this blueprint stuff. It's toward the end of your packet. I like these problems because, again, it forces us to read. I know it's hard sometimes, but the terminology, again, killed us on the last test. So I want to, in writing or words, see if we can understand what they're asking for. So I want to hopefully get a better result here. So we have a job order system. We're accumulating costs by job. That's what whole chapter 4 is about. Once the job is completed, we can come up with our unit cost, right? So we have in this example, we're making some wedding invitations, 100 of them. The production cost is $3.50. What's the cost per unit? $3.50. So we're simply taking dollars over units. Guess what I've seen on the test? Students give me 35 cents. Or whatever 100 divided by 350 is. They have it backwards. It happens. Okay? What costs are in the 350? What three? Direct material, direct labor. I like the word applied. Who said that? Teresa. So going forward in cost accounting, we will be always using applied overhead. Not, there's a difference. Normal costing, this is normal costing. What were we doing before? What did we call that? Instead of normal, it was what? Actual costing, if you remember. Chapters 2 and 3 were actual costs for overhead. Now we're going to the applied. Know the difference between that term. What is actual costing? Actual material, actual labor, actual overhead. What is normal costing? Actual material, actual labor, applied overhead. Know the difference between normal and actual costing methods. All right, good job. Here's another term. Predetermined overhead rate, right? There's no line here. So the job order cost sheet is prepared for every job, right? It's a summary of that job's cost. It is a subsidiary to what account? Polly?
Waiting for us.
Yes.
Very good. This is an easy multiple choice question, is it not? And the choices will be work in process, finished goods, right? Cost of goods sold, probably, and maybe some oddball one, overhead. Don't miss this one, please. Okay. So on a cost system must have the ability to identify the quantity of materials, labor, and overhead consumed by each job. The direct materials is assigned to a job using a source document known as,
Requisition.
yes, requisition form. That's the source document. In an auditing, right, a source document is a physical document. Labor is assigned using what source document?
Timesheet,
Timesheet, or the author uses time what?
time ticket.
Time ticket. Again, most of this is barcode now. The rest of this is just reading for your convenience. Please know what's on a job order cost sheet, what relevant information. Job, identification, job number, date started, date completed, number of units, and all the costs associated with that job are on a job order cost sheet. Please know that information as well. Go to the last page then here. Here's a summary of a job. 35, 40, 37. Look at guys. They're not in order. Tricky. So be careful. Notice that there are 3 jobs for May. At the beginning of May, job 235 is in process and so represents the value of what? Work in process. Very good. So we're talking about this 2000, right? That was the beginning work in process inventory. It says, assume that 235 and 237 are both completed. So what I do on these particular problems, I write the word completed on it, just so I grab the right numbers. You know what I mean? And job 235 is sold. So this is the only one of the 3 that is sold as well. Job 240 is unfinished, which makes sense. That's the only one left. Thus, we can say that the cost of goods sold for May is how much?
4,600.
Well, let's just stop there. Isn't it amazing that they're talking about completed jobs completed jobs, unfinished at the end of the May, and it's almost like they switched total gears here, and then they want the cost answer first. Again, they're trying to move things around so that you make sure you understand what you're being asked. And the value of ending WIP is how much?
4,100.
Does everybody agree?
Mhm.
Michelle, why is it 4,100?
Because that's the total as of May 31st in job 240.
That's the only unfinished job.
It's the only unfinished job. That's what I wanted to hear. Ending WIP is always unfinished or not completed work. Very good. Now this is a kind of a tricky question. I could have two answers here.
Say
Really.
8,400.
Yeah, I would accept that. The unsold job, right? Completed but not sold was job number, what was it, 240? Or
237.
237. Catherine might have, you guys have a question out there, guys? Okay, I thought I heard somebody buzz in. What could be another answer here, though? The sum of,
13,000.
yeah, 237 and 235,
Yes.
that would be acceptable too. Because that's what's going into that finished goods.
That's what I was thinking about. It's like,
Yeah.
if it's in finished good, we still.
Again, it's a gray area
Yeah.
question. You won't get that one on the test, it'll be more clear. It'll be ending balance in most cases. Okay, the last one. How do I get this percentage? What over what? What's always on top?
Cost.
Right?
This is your drive.
Which in this case is also dollars, but direct labor dollars, right?
Mhm.
So this is like your 25-point problem based on labor dollars, not hours. So looking at any of our numbers, which if we grab, let's just grab job number 240, what's the relationship? The 1,800 is on top, 900 is on the bottom, correct?
Mhm.
Overhead, labor. So what's my answer?
200%.
Very good. Now Diane had the question, some questions say I want, CNOW's looking for the percent, sometimes they're looking for the decimal number. In most cases, it's identified pretty clearly. But again, I review the test, so if you put in a 2 here, I wouldn't mark that wrong. Right? Versus 200. So, everybody okay with this 200? The last problem basically here, Updike has 2 jobs in process. These are the beginning WIP numbers, right?
Mhm.
Here's our current cost. Go to the next page. We have a nice looking job order cost summary. Here again, I'm going to fill this out on my own. I will have it there as a review for you. But go back to this first page. Let's say on the test, you're given this information on a problem, and I ask you for the cost of job number 15. What is one thing you can't forget to include?
The beginning balance.
The beginning balance. Remember, on a test, you may not have this nice little summary sheet for you to fill in. So students will come in, because your test, you're under pressure at time, right? Totally ignore this beginning information. Add up these two costs, and that's my cost of $2,700. They forget about the beginning. But is $2,700 the cost of this job? What else did I forget?
Yeah, overhead.
On the test, don't forget about the applied overhead for each of these jobs as well. Right?
Mhm.
So don't forget about the beginning, don't forget about the applied. Because again, if you don't get the cost right per job, you don't get the unit cost right, you don't get the markup correct, your journal entries are wrong. So it's imperative that we don't forget those things. I guess that's the only thing we can suggest. Any final concerns? Gary, stop talking. Is that the consensus here? Well, you have the rest of the class then to work on your homework, ask questions, okay? There's no intermediate test, so you don't have to worry about that. You can get lunch if you'd like. We'll call it a day. Test on Wednesday.